Jaramogi's political life. So if you can bring that documentary, because Jaramogi rose from the village and became a child of the world. There we are.
Jaramogi Ajuma Oginga Odinga is a political giant who straddled Kenya's political landscape like a colossus, both in life and in death. A nationalist and statesman who remains as the greatest of them in the political arena, who stands tall as the great patriot Kenya has ever had, and a doyen of opposition politics, betrayed at both of Kenya's momentous political turning points, being the was a teacher by profession, come businessman and politician, is best remembered as a selfless political leader who sacrificed his personal glory for the sake of the country. When he declined the golden offer that was placed in his hands to be become Kenya's founding president, and instead demanded for the release of Jomo Kenyatta, who was in incarceration, to come and lead. Politician.
And we are still in the stages of learning politics from him.
Oginga Odinga plunged in the world of murky politics in 1947, becoming a member of the leading lights in Kenya's independence struggle. And when full independence dawned, his efforts and loyalty to the cause were rewarded when Mzee Jomo Kenyatta became president. Jaramogi became Kenya's first vice president. However, the two practiced different political ideologies, and it was only a matter of time. In 1966, 2 years after independence, Kenya's founding vice president Oginga resigned from his position because his principles were in sharp conflict with government policies at the time, which he felt were drifting far away from democracy, which was a grand betrayal to the independence dream. Hence his autobiography, Not Yet Uhuru.
Jomo tended to steer away from what they had promised the citizenry. For instance, the land. The land was actually the big factor in disagreement between Jaramogi and Mzee, because Jaramogi and the other guys like Bill Kagia, for instance, plus a guy by the name J.D. Kala, all these are dead. They were very strong supporters of land being distributed to the citizenry.
Kenyatta called Jaramogi, and Jaramogi went to Gatundu. It was about evening. Kenyatta took Jaramogi, told him, follow me. Kenyatta was in his car, Jaramogi was in his car. But ile mali nyingi hapa kwa Thika. Samba ya msungi ilikuwa kubwa na minai. So Kenyatta told Jaramogi, we have fought for this country, and we must share things. On the far left, hii masamba na ng'ombe kubwa takuwa yako. Mimi itachukua upande huu. And Jaramogi said no.
The Rubicon had been crossed and political battle lines drawn. Jaramogi and his big team of associates formed a new party, Kenya People's Union, KPU, which the government could not tolerate and was proscribed in 1969, a situation was by the infamous 25th October 1969 Kisumu massacre. The relationship between Kenyatta and Jaramogi was beyond repair, but Odinga stuck to his political principles of championing for democracy despite being put under house arrest. The two were never to meet again until 1978 August, when President Kenyatta died. In his true democratic traits, Odinga went to State House, Nairobi, to mourn his one-time bosom friend, and he did so with respect as per his Luo culture when mourning heroes. Many years later, the sons of founding fathers closed ranks between the two families.
None of us is going anywhere. Those who win and those who lose, we must all at the end of the day join hands and work together for our country.
I remember on that day when Mzee passed on, Jaramogi went to State House and carrying the flag whisk. He then went and invoked a very, very passionate dirge in Luo. Ewe gimicha muimari gimodon kirkige. Choge joy. That is very deep. That was a statement of the friendship that had been.
Exit Kenyatta, enter Moi, and the doyen of opposition politics was not relenting. He joined forces with other political heavyweights, civil society groups, lawyers, the church, university lecturers and students in agitating for return of multi-party politics in the 80s. This remains as the darkest period in Kenya since independence. The period that was punctuated with detentions without trial and murders in prisons. The darkest phase whose morning came in 1991 when Section 2A of the Constitution was repealed, opening doors for current multi-party democracy. After years of shedding blood and sweat in trenches, Kenya's second liberation had been delivered. Many paid the ultimate price. Some, like Charles Rubia, lost their voice while in detention. Kenneth Matiba suffered a stroke that he never recovered from, while for Jaramogi, his son Raila Odinga was detained without trial for 9 years and could not be allowed to attend the burial of his mother, while the likes of James Orengo went into exile and Koigi Wamwere holding the record of the longest-serving political detainee of 13 years.
They tell you, that you utazungumuza. Some, cane you on your feet and very tender places, particularly Kisigino, this part which we call malleolus. It's very painful. And this part of, you are very, very painful. You cry, and so you cry until then you find you cannot cry. That you will talk. You will talk. You've been pretending that you're Jaramogi Odinga's personal physician. That is not the only work you are doing. You are involved in calendar-style organizations to overthrow the government. I say, no, I don't know about all these things. Don't you know Mwa Kenya? I say, no, I don't. If you don't know, you'll tell us, you will know. Likely after that beating, you see, they dressed me up because you cry until you cannot cry. Because you are beaten, but you don't feel the pain.
On 2nd August 1991, the team comprising of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, Philip Gashoka, Ahmed Bamariz, Salim Ndamwe, Masinde Muliro and George Nthenge formed the first opposition party in Kenya, but KANU regime had outlawed the outfit. The six, led by Jaramogi, had a supporting cast of young Turks that included Gitobi Manyora, Muhisa Kitui, Raila Odinga, Paul Mwite, Anyang' Nyong'o, Joe Ager, as well as progressive lawyers that included John Haminwa, Gibson Kamau Kuria, among others. Eventually, the liberation struggle paid off.
Tukitaka kuimarisha chama cha KANU kijulikane kama ni chama safi kinachozingatia yale yote mambo mema na mazuri, lazima tuangalie kwamba tunasafisha. Na kusafisha sio kusema kusafisha na kuna Ford ndani yake. Kitu mimi nauliza nyinyi leo, ili tuone hawa walio katika siasa, wale walio watumishi wa serikali, sisi tuseme kwamba tufungue, tuondoe ile section ya katiba ya Kenya ya 2A.
Upon sensing defeat from the gathering storm politically, an internal power struggle over leadership of Ford was engineered by KANU, with opposition luminaries falling into the trap. And in August 1992, the giant Ford split into two: Ford Asili, that was led by Kenneth Matiba, and Ford Kenya, that was led by Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. All the efforts of years of a bitter struggle went down the drain.
Ford was Matiba and Jaramogi disagreed. I was in Ford myself because I came from rotation earlier than Matiba. I was positioned in Ford. I was a fundraiser and I raised a lot of money for Ford under Jaramogi then. But when Matiba came out, Matiba refused to accept Raila Odinga as the only Ford candidate for presidency.
It is the Jaramogi Odinga faction of Ford that had a vision for Kenya. Jaramogi Odinga represented not the Marxist, because Jaramogi was never a Marxist, but a people's approach to development. And it was natural, given my participation in university politics and my time at the Nairobi Monthly, that I would identify with Jaramogi.
What were the reasons that Matiba felt it can't be Jaramogi?
Matiba was, truthfully speaking, just stubborn.
The issue of ethnicity reared its head, which wasn't there when we were fighting for the second liberation, and which we knew retired President Moi had used very effectively to hold on to power. Mwai Kibaki, who never participated in the second liberation, soon as Section 2A was repealed, he forgot about the Mugumo tree and the razor blade and formed his own party. Okay? Post-revolution. Then, my dear friend Matiba, who we had agreed, let's leave it to Jaramogi because of his contribution.
Serious students of that period of Kenyan history will definitely see the government hand. That was the only way that Kenya was going to come back and rezone the country into areas along which they would vote.
One of the enduring regrets is that as soon as Section 2A was repealed, the ethnic rivalry reared its head.
So the dreams, the aspirations of the people die. Of the founding generation, the very few led by Jaramogi remained true to that calling.
Yes, I felt pained that the principled stand we had taken was now overrun.
Once again, the country's greatest patriot was betrayed by the people they had fought together for another phase of liberation. Down but not out, the doyen of opposition politics, contested presidency in December 1992 general election. Obadiah Adonijah Jaramogi Ajuma Oginga Odinga had shot for the moon, but missed the political jackpot and landed among the stars, becoming Kenya's first official opposition leader. But as fate would have it, on 20th January 1994, the 83-year-old veteran politician took his final bow, signing out of Kenya's political scene with the third and thunder. They had been elected together in parliament, with his son Raila Amolo Odinga being member of parliament for the popular city constituency Lang'ata, while Jaramogi was representing the rural constituency of Bondo and was succeeded by his son, Dr. Oburu Oginga. 30 years later, Raila Odinga, who became Kenya's second prime minister, is still flying high the opposition flag. Dr. Oburu is the senator for Siaya County. Their sister Ruth Adhiambo is Kisumu County woman representative, while granddaughter Winnie Odinga is member of parliament in the East African Legislative Assembly. Jaramogi might be long gone, but his political shadow is still large in Kenyan politics, even in death. A doyen who reigned but never ruled. A man who put the country's interest first at his own expense.
Because we expect a bigger crowd, and there are separate sittings. There are those who are going to be sitting in the main hall. Those are the VIPs. Our guests who have come from far, and including members of parliament and so on. Then there also goes a hall which is just next to the main hall, which is a tent. There are 3 of them where people are going to be sitting